The saliva hit the linoleum floor, a glob of contempt from a man who wore his hatred like his leather vest. The diner fell silent. 23 pairs of eyes averted their gaze, except for one. Lily Morgan stood motionless, coffee pot suspended mid-pour, her hazel eyes fixed on the bearded giant who had just spat at her feet. The Silver Spoon Diner had seen its share of difficult customers in its 40 years anchoring the corner of Portland's most exclusive neighborhood, but the 6 men who had rumbled in on motorcycles that cost more than her yearly salary were something else entirely. Their leader locked eyes with Lily. Jack Wolf Donovan had not earned his nickname through gentleness. His weathered face told stories of violence without speaking a word. The scar running from his right temple to his jawline punctuated those stories with an exclamation point. The silver in his beard matched the gleaming Rolex Submariner on his wrist. Iron Wolves Motorcycle Club patches adorned his leather vest. The central emblem, a snarling wolf with wings spread behind it. The other patrons stared at their breakfast plates, suddenly fascinated by their eggs Benedict and artisanal toast. Black coffee, Wolf said, his voice a graveled road worn smooth by cigarettes and whiskey. For all of us. Lily nodded, her throat dry but her voice steady. Coming right up, sir. She moved with deliberate calm to the coffee station, aware of the weight of silence pressing against her shoulders. At 23, Lily had mastered the art of invisibility that waitressing required. 5'6" with auburn hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, her uniform freshly pressed despite being 3 years old, she moved through the world trying not to be noticed. Today that skill abandoned her. The morning sun streamed through the windows, catching on Wolf's left forearm as he rolled up his sleeve. The tattoo revealed itself slowly like a secret being whispered. A winged skull with a helmet rendered in deep blacks and grays, the craftsmanship extraordinary. But it was the tiny detail, a small chip on the upper right wing, that caught Lily's attention and stopped her heart. She placed the coffee mugs on the table one by one, her movements mechanical until she reached Wolf. Something compelled her to speak, the words tumbling out before wisdom could catch them. Hello, sir. My mother has a tattoo, just like yours. The diner, already quiet, became a vacuum. No one breathed. Wolf's steel blue eyes narrowed, his massive frame tensing. The men flanking him shifted hands, disappearing beneath the table. The moment stretched, balanced on a knife edge of potential violence. What did you just say? Wolf's voice dropped an octave, barely audible. Lily swallowed, too far committed to retreat. The winged skull tattoo on your arm. My mother has the same one, identical, even the small chip on the upper right wing. Wolf's gaze intensified, peeling away layers of her composure. Your mother's name, Catherine Morgan. The name landed like a physical blow. Wolf's hand, adorned with silver rings that had likely broken more than one jaw, trembled slightly as he set down his coffee cup. His companions exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Silver Cat, one of the older members whispered. The nickname ignited something in Wolf's eyes. He stared at Lily with new intensity, taking in her features as if seeing her for the first time. How old are you? 23. Another wave of silent communication rippled through the group. Wolf's jaw clenched, a muscle ticking along the scar on his temple. Where is she? The question carried weight beyond its simple words. Lily hesitated, protective instincts flaring. She's at Portland General, 4th floor. She didn't mention the cancer, didn't mention the prognosis of 3 months, didn't mention the letters from collection agencies piling up on their kitchen counter. Some secrets belonged to her alone. From a corner booth, a man in his early 40s observed the exchange with quiet intensity. Michael Reynolds wore success like a tailored suit, which happened to be what he was wearing. His salt and pepper hair was expensively cut, his Patek Philippe watch a subtle announcement of wealth. He sipped his Americano, eyes never leaving the interaction between the waitress and the motorcycle gang leader. When Wolf asked about Lily's mother, Michael's interest visibly deepened. Wolf stood suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor with a sound like distant thunder. He towered over Lily, 6'3" of muscle and menace. Boys, finish your coffee. I need to make a visit. The men drained their cups with military precision. Wolf extracted a $100 bill from a wallet chained to his belt, pressing it into Lily's palm and closing her fingers over it. For the coffee, he said simply. It's only $12, she protested weakly. The rest is for telling me where to find Silver Cat. The Iron Wolves moved as a unit toward the door, leather creaking boots thudding on the vintage tiles. Wolf paused at the threshold, turning back to Lily. 23 years, he said, a world of meaning in those two words. 23 years. Then they were gone, the roar of motorcycles fading into the Portland morning. Lily stood frozen, the $100 bill burning in her palm like a secret turned to currency. The other customers resumed their conversations in a nervous wave of relief, the spell broken. Only Michael Reynolds continued watching Lily, his interest undiminished by the departure of the Iron Wolves. He signaled for his check with a discreet gesture. Outside the diner window, a black SUV idled across the street. The man behind the wheel raised a camera with a telephoto lens capturing images of the departing motorcycles, then of Lily through the glass. He lowered the camera and spoke into a phone. They found her. After all these years, they found Silver Cat. Lily moved through the remainder of her morning shift in a daze, the $100 bill safely tucked in her pocket. Her mind raced with questions she had no answers for. Her mother, Catherine Morgan, the quiet librarian who read poetry and grew herbs on their tiny apartment balcony, connected to men like the Iron Wolves. It seemed impossible, a cosmic error. Yet the tattoo was undeniable evidence of a past her mother had never shared. "Order up for table 7. The short order cook's voice snapped her back to the present. She loaded her arms with plates of the Silver Spoon's famous breakfast and delivering them to a family of 4 with an automatic smile that never reached her eyes. Her thoughts remained with her mother alone in the hospital room that consumed what remained of their savings. Michael Reynolds watched her from his booth, his meal long finished, his coffee cold. He had been coming to the Silver Spoon for years, a creature of habit who appeared every Tuesday and Thursday at precisely 7:30. In all that time, he had barely noticed Lily beyond the perfunctory exchanges of ordering and paying. Today, something had changed. He observed her with the careful assessment of a man who had built an empire by reading people correctly. When Lily approached with his check, Michael spoke for the first time. That was impressive. His voice carried the confident resonance of command, but softened at the edges. "Excuse me." Most people would have fallen apart facing the Iron Wolves. "You stood your ground." Lily shrugged, uncomfortable with the attention. "Just doing my job, sir." "Michael, please." He offered his hand. "Michael Reynolds." She shook it briefly, noticing the monogram cufflinks at his wrist, the subtle scent of expensive cologne. "Lily Morgan." "Morgan." He repeated the name thoughtfully. "Your mother is in the hospital." Lily stiffened. "Yes. Portland General is excellent, but—" He hesitated, reaching into his suit jacket. "If she needs specialized care, I might be able to help." He extended a business card. Lily glanced down, her blood freezing in her veins as she recognized the logo embossed in silver foil. Reynolds Medical Group, the very corporation that owned the private specialty clinic that had refused her mother treatment when their insurance coverage maxed out. Her fingers closed around the card, reflexively, even as bitterness coated her tongue. "Thank you, but we're fine." Michael regarded her with undisguised interest. "Everyone needs help sometimes, Lily." "Not from Reynolds Medical Group," she replied before she could stop herself. Understanding dawned in his eyes. "Ah, you've had an experience with one of our facilities." "You could say that." She placed his check on the table, eager to end the conversation. "Can I get you anything else?" "Just the truth," he said, his voice gentle but insistent. "What happened?" Perhaps it was exhaustion from months of fighting insurance companies. Perhaps it was the shock of the morning's events. Whatever the reason, Lily found herself answering. "Your Southwest Portland specialty clinic turned away my mother when her insurance capped out. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They said without premium coverage, they couldn't continue the experimental treatment that was actually working." The words tasted like ash. "She has 3 months now, maybe less." Michael's expression remained carefully neutral, but something flickered behind his eyes. "I'm sorry to hear that. That's not how my father built this company." "Well, things change," Lily said, surprised by the bitterness in her own voice. "Will there be anything else?" "No." Michael placed a credit card on the check. "Thank you for your honesty." Lily processed his payment in silence, returning with the receipt. Michael added a tip that equaled her daily earnings, then stood to leave. He paused, extracting a pen from his pocket and writing a phone number on the back of his business card. "This is my personal cell. When you're ready to accept help, call me. Anytime." He held her gaze, something unreadable in his expression. Some things don't have to change, Lily. Some wrongs can be righted. Then he was gone, leaving Lily staring at the card in her hand, conflicting emotions warring within her. Pride urged her to tear it up. Desperation whispered to keep it. She slipped it into her pocket alongside the $100 bill, two unexpected lifelines from the strangest morning of her life. Her shift ended at 2. Lily changed out of her uniform in the cramped employee bathroom, trading the polyester dress for faded jeans and a Portland University sweatshirt. Once she had been a pre-med student there, her future bright with promise. Financial reality had intervened, forcing her to abandon those dreams when her mother first became ill. Now at 23, she carried the weight of what might have been alongside the burden of what was. The bus ride to Portland General took 40 minutes, crawling through afternoon traffic while Lily pressed her forehead against the cool glass, watching raindrops race down the window. What would she find when she arrived? Would Wolf still be there? The questions tumbled through her mind like clothes in a dryer, never settling into any pattern that made sense. Portland General Hospital rose like a concrete monolith against the cloudy sky, impersonal and imposing. Lily had made this journey so many times the security guards nodded in recognition as she passed. The elevator ascended to the 4th floor oncology ward, where hope came to die by inches. The corridor stretched before her, fluorescent lights casting everyone in the same sickly pallor. She rounded the corner to her mother's room and stopped dead. 2 Iron Wolves members stood flanking the door like sentinels, arms crossed over massive chests. They straightened as they saw her, recognition flashing in their eyes. "Miss Morgan Visaya," the one on the left said with surprising gentleness. "Wolf's waiting for you." Lily's heart hammered against her ribs. "Is my mother okay?" "She's fine, miss. Better than fine from what the doctors are saying." Lily pushed past them into the room and froze at the threshold. Her mother, Catherine Morgan, sat propped against pillows. Her once beautiful face now hollowed by illness, her chestnut hair long since surrendered to chemotherapy. But it was her expression that stopped Lily cold. Catherine was smiling, truly smiling, for the first time in months. Wolf Donovan sat beside the bed, his massive frame making the hospital chair look like doll furniture. His leather vest was gone, replaced by a simple black t-shirt that revealed heavily tattooed arms, including the winged skull that had started this strange day. Between them on the bed lay an old photo album that Lily had never seen before. "Mom," Lily's voice sounded small even to her own ears. Catherine looked up, emotions crossing her face too quickly to read. "Lily, honey, come in. Jack was just showing me some old photographs." Jack. Not Wolf, Jack. Wolf stood his height, dominating the small room. Up close, without the intimidating presence of his gang, he looked older. The lines around his eyes speaking of roads traveled and burdens carried. "I'll give you 2 some time," he said. His gravel voice softened. He nodded to Lily as he passed. "Thank you. For this morning. For everything." When he was gone, Lily moved to her mother's bedside, questions crowding her throat like birds fighting to escape. "Mom, what is going on? Who is he to you?" Catherine sighed, patting the bed beside her. "Sit down, honey. It's time I told you about my life before you were born." Lily perched on the edge of the bed, eyeing the photo album. "You were part of a motorcycle gang." "The Iron Wolves aren't just a gang," Catherine corrected gently. "They were family once, the only family I had after your grandparents died." She opened the album to reveal a younger version of herself. Catherine at 25, beautiful and fierce, astride a Harley Davidson, her hair wild in the wind. Beside her unmistakably stood a younger Wolf, his arm around her waist, both of them laughing into the camera. "I was a combat nurse," Catherine explained to her fingers tracing the photograph with tender remembrance. "I served 2 tours in Desert Storm. When I came home, I was lost." The Iron Wolves were mostly veterans then. They understood what civilian life couldn't. "Jack, She hesitated, emotion thickening her voice. "Jack saved me in many ways." Lily stared at the photographic evidence of a mother she had never known. Strong, vibrant, free. "You have the same tattoo." Catherine smiled sadly, pushing up the sleeve of her hospital gown to reveal the faded but unmistakable winged skull on her forearm, complete with the chipped right wing. The skull represents mortality, the wings represent freedom. The helmet is for protection on life's journey. We all got them, those of us who were the core family. The chip in the wing was Jack's idea. A reminder that perfection isn't the goal, that our broken parts make us who we are. Were you and he together? Catherine nodded. For 3 years, the happiest of my life in many ways. Lily tried to reconcile this revelation with the quiet, reserved mother who had raised her. What happened? Why did you leave? Catherine's face darkened, shadows gathering in the hollows of her cheeks. I witnessed something I shouldn't have. A rival club, the Ravens, they were into things the Iron Wolves wouldn't touch. Drugs, weapons, human trafficking. I stumbled onto evidence of an organ harvesting operation they were running. They were targeting homeless veterans, Lily. Men and women who had served their country reduced to spare parts. Lily felt sick. Did you go to the police? I tried, but the Ravens had people on their payroll, including a detective. When I realized they knew I was the whistleblower, I ran. I was pregnant with you by then, just barely showing. I never told Jack. I couldn't risk putting him in danger, and I couldn't risk the Ravens finding out about you. Lily's mind reeled, trying to process the implications. So, Wolf Jack, he might be your father? Yes, honey, he might be. The revelation landed like a physical blow, stealing Lily's breath. All her life, Catherine had told her that her father was a soldier who died overseas before Lily was born. A convenient fiction that had never fully satisfied, but which Lily had accepted without question. Now the truth unraveled the fabric of her identity, reweaving it into something unrecognizable. Does he know? Did you tell him today? Catherine shook her head. I couldn't. Not yet. He's only just found me after 23 years, Lily. Finding out he has a daughter. It's too much all at once. How did he find you now? He never stopped looking. Catherine's voice broke. All these years, Jack kept searching. One of their members is some kind of computer genius now. He created a facial recognition program that scanned hospital admission records. Lily's heart pounded. Mom, if he found you, could the Ravens find you too? Fear flickered across Catherine's face. I don't know. I've been looking over my shoulder for so long, I'd almost convinced myself they'd forgotten about me. But people like that, they don't forget. They don't forgive. A soft knock interrupted them. Wolf stood in the doorway, his expression solemn. Sorry to intrude. Can I come in? Catherine nodded, closing the photo album. Wolf entered, followed by a doctor Lily had never seen before, a distinguished man in his 50s with a Stanford Medical Center pin on his white coat. Mrs. Morgan, I'm Dr. Hendricks. I specialize in innovative pancreatic cancer treatments. Mr. Donovan has asked me to review your case. Lily stood. We can't afford specialized care. The insurance won't cover it. Wolf's expression hardened. Insurance isn't an issue. I'm covering all costs. We can't accept that, Lily protested. You can and you will. Wolf replied, his tone brooking no argument. Silver Cat, your mother saved my life more times than I can count, both on the battlefield and off. This isn't charity, it's repayment of a debt. Hendricks cleared his throat. I've reviewed your mother's files. There's a clinical trial at Stanford that I believe could help her. The results have been promising for cases exactly like hers. Hope, that dangerous and beautiful emotion, fluttered in Lily's chest. Really? The transport is arranged for tomorrow morning, Wolf said. Private medical flight to California. Dr. Hendricks will oversee her care personally. Catherine reached for Wolf's hand, tears shining in her eyes. Jack, this is too much. His massive fingers enveloped hers with surprising gentleness. Nothing is too much, Cat, nothing. The moment between them felt sacred, a bridge spanning 23 years of separation. Lily looked away, feeling like an intruder in her own mother's life. The doctor excused himself, promising to return in the morning to prepare for the transfer. When he was gone, Wolf turned to Lily, his expression shifting to something more guarded. There's something else you both need to know. He pulled a USB drive from his pocket, turning it over in his hands like a grenade with the pin half pulled. The Ravens are still operational. Different leadership, same operation. They've expanded into medical technology now, legitimate on the surface with something rotten underneath. And they know Catherine has resurfaced. Catherine went pale. How? Hospital records. They have someone inside the system scanning for certain names just like we do. We picked up their digital fingerprints when they accessed your file 3 days ago. Lily felt cold fear spreading through her veins. What does that mean for us? It means you're both in danger. Wolf's voice was flint striking steel. The statute of limitations on most crimes has passed, but not murder. Catherine's testimony could still put several of their founding members away for life. But that was 23 years ago, Lily protested. What evidence could possibly remain? Wolf held up the USB drive, arming. Your mother wasn't the only witness, just the only one who escaped alive. Another Iron Wolf, my blood brother Mike, suspected what was happening. He gathered evidence, recorded conversations, photographed their operation. The night they discovered him, before they killed him, he hid this where only I would find it. I've kept it safe all these years, waiting for the right moment, waiting to find your mother to corroborate it. Catherine covered her mouth with a trembling hand. Oh God, they killed Mike, I never knew. 3 days after you disappeared. Wolf's voice roughened with old grief. The police ruled it a motorcycle accident, but we knew better. Lily's mind raced through the implications. So these ravens, they'll come after Mom to silence her after both of us. They'll try. Wolf's jaw set in a hard line. But this time she has the entire Iron Wolves motorcycle club standing between her and harm. You both do. The door to the hospital room opened again, and Michael Reynolds stepped in, his confident stride faltering slightly when he saw Wolf. The two men assessed each other with the wariness of apex predators sharing territory. Excuse me, Michael said. I was looking for Lily Morgan. Lily stood, shock rippling through her. Mr. Reynolds, how did you find me? I asked at the diner. They said your mother was at Portland General. His gaze moved to Catherine, professional compassion replacing his initial surprise. Mrs. Morgan, I'm Michael Reynolds. I want to personally apologize for your experience with one of my facilities. Catherine looked confused. Wolf moved subtly, positioning himself between Michael and the bed, protective instincts evident in his posture. Reynolds, Wolf repeated, recognition dawning. Reynolds Medical Group. Yes. Michael extended his hand. And you are someone who doesn't trust men in expensive suits. Wolf ignored the outstretched hand. Tension crackled between them. Lily stepped forward. Mr. Reynolds owns the medical company that refused Mom's treatment when the insurance ran out. Understanding passed over Wolf's weathered features, followed by a dark anger. Then you're not welcome here. Michael lowered his hand but stood his ground. That's why I've come, to make it right. Mrs. Morgan, I'd like to offer you treatment at our premier facility, all expenses covered by the Reynolds Foundation. A bit late for conscience, isn't it? Wolf growled. Catherine touched Wolf's arm. Jack, please. Michael's gaze moved between them, calculating something behind his controlled expression. I understand your skepticism. The decision to deny continued treatment wasn't made at my level, but ultimately the company bears my name. The responsibility is mine. He removed an envelope from his jacket. These are admission papers to our Lake Oswego facility. The oncology wing there has equipment and specialists that Portland General doesn't. Dr. Sarah Chen is the best pancreatic cancer specialist in the Pacific Northwest. Lily took the envelope warily. Why now? Why the sudden generosity? Michael's expression shifted, something genuine breaking through his professional veneer. Let's just say I recognized a wrong that needed righting. Wolf made a dismissive sound. Convenient timing. Catherine's already being transferred to Stanford tomorrow for specialized treatment. Surprise registered on Michael's face. Stanford, that's impressive. May I ask who arranged that? I did, Wolf said flatly, and I'd like to know how you found out Catherine was here given patient confidentiality laws. Michael's expression hardened slightly. As I said, I asked at the diner. Lily mentioned her mother was at Portland General. But not which floor, which room. Wolf stepped closer to Michael, using his superior height to intimidating effect. So I'll ask again. How did you find this specific room? The atmosphere in the small hospital room thickened with tension. Lily noticed Michael's hand move slightly toward his jacket pocket, then stop. I have connections at most hospitals in the Portland area, Michael admitted. I made some calls. Connections, Wolf repeated, his voice dangerously soft. Interesting. The Ravens have connections too. Michael's expression remained carefully neutral, but something flickered in his eyes at the mention of the Ravens. I'm not familiar with that name. Really? Wolf moved closer still. Because your reaction suggests otherwise. Catherine's monitor began beeping faster, her heart rate elevating. Please, both of you, this isn't helping. Lily stepped between the men. Mr. Reynolds, thank you for the offer, but we've already made arrangements. Wolf, back up. You're scaring my mother. To her surprise, both men responded to her authority. Wolf retreating a step, Michael nodding in acquiescence. Of course, I apologize for the intrusion. Michael produced another business card offering it to Lily. The offer remains open, and Lily, be careful who you trust. Even those who appear as saviors may have ulterior motives. With that cryptic warning, he departed, leaving an unsettled atmosphere in his wake. Wolf watched him go, suspicion etched into the lines of his face. I don't like him, Wolf stated flatly once Michael was gone. Something's off. Lily sank into the chair beside her mother's bed, the events of the day catching up to her in a wave of exhaustion. This morning I was just a waitress with a sick mother. Now I'm caught between motorcycle gangs and medical corporations with a potential father I never knew existed, and danger lurking around every corner. It's a bit much to process. Catherine reached for her daughter's hand. I'm so sorry, Lily. I never wanted this life for you. I thought I'd left it all behind. The past has a way of finding us, Wolf said quietly, no matter how far or how long we run. Outside in the hallway, Michael Reynolds made a call on a secure line, his voice low and urgent. It's worse than we thought. The Iron Wolves have found Silver Cat, and they have Mike's evidence. Yes, that Mike, the one your predecessor silenced 23 years ago. He paused, listening to the voice on the other end. No, the daughter doesn't know anything yet, but Wolf suspects something about my connection. We need to accelerate the timeline. Another pause. Yes, I understand what's at stake. My father's legacy, the company's future, everything. Don't worry, I'll handle it. The truth stays buried, whatever it takes. Michael ended the call and stared at Catherine's hospital room door, conflict etched in the lines around his eyes. The weight of his father's sins pressed down on his shoulders like an inheritance he never wanted but couldn't escape. He straightened his tie, decision made. Some legacies had to end. Some truths needed to emerge from the darkness, whatever the cost. He just wasn't sure yet which path he would choose. Inside the hospital room, Lily watched as her mother drifted into sleep, the emotional toll of the day's revelations finally overwhelming her weakened state. Wolf stood at the window, a silhouette against the fading Portland light, his massive frame somehow both threatening and protective. You should go home, get some rest, he said without turning. My men will stay with her tonight. No one gets in without my approval. Lily stood swaying slightly with fatigue. I still have so many questions. Wolf turned his weathered face solemn in the dim light. Tomorrow, there will be time for answers tomorrow. For now, know this, whatever comes, you're not alone anymore. Neither of you. The simple promise carried weight, anchoring Lily in the midst of a world turned upside down. As she gathered her things to leave, her hand brushed against Michael's business card in her pocket. Two powerful men, two different offers of help, both surrounded by unanswered questions. Her mother's secret past had collided with her present in ways she could never have imagined when she woke this morning. The tattoo that had caught her eye, that had prompted her impulsive words to Wolf, had changed everything. A winged skull with a chipped wing, a symbol of mortality, freedom, and beautiful imperfection, had connected 3 lives across 23 years of separation. As Lily stepped out into the hospital corridor flanked by Iron Wolves members, who now treated her with deferential respect, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real danger was just beginning. Whatever secrets lay buried in the past, they were stirring now, reaching for the light. And some secrets, once revealed, could never be buried again. Morning arrived in Portland with a symphony of rain against glass. Lily Morgan stood at her apartment window, watching droplets race down the pane, each carrying a fragment of reflected light. She hadn't slept. The events of yesterday played on endless loop behind her tired eyes, transforming her understanding of the world and her place in it. The apartment felt different now, the shabby furniture and secondhand decorations suddenly foreign. Photos of her mother adorned the walls, Catherine Morgan through the years. Catherine at a library fundraiser. Catherine gardening. Catherine at Lily's high school graduation. Each image now carried a question mark, a mystery lurking behind familiar eyes. Lily's phone vibrated on the kitchen counter. A text from a number she didn't recognize. Car waiting downstairs, hospital. Important. Wolf. She dressed quickly in jeans and a sweater, gathering her rain jacket and bag. The weight of Michael Reynolds' business card pressed against her hip from her pocket, a reminder of unfinished business and unanswered questions. A gleaming black Suburban idled at the curb, engine purring like a contented predator. The driver, a mountain of a man with Iron Wolves patches on his leather vest, nodded respectfully as she approached. "Morning, Miss Morgan. I'm Digger. Wolf sent me. Is my mother okay?" Anxiety sharpened her voice. "Far as I know, but there's been developments." He opened the passenger door for her, revealing an interior that smelled of expensive leather and subtle cologne. Portland slid past the tinted windows, the city transforming from residential neighborhoods to the steel and glass of downtown. Digger drove with surprising precision for hands that looked capable of bending metal bars. "Been with the Iron Wolves long?" Lily asked, trying to fill the silence with something besides her racing thoughts. 20 years. Joined after my third tour in Afghanistan." His voice carried the flatness of someone who had seen too much. "Your mother patched me up once. Bar fight gone bad. 17 stitches without anesthetic." "That sounds like a different woman than the one who raised me." Digger's eyes remained fixed on the road. People change when they have someone to protect. The words settled over Lily like a mantle. Had her entire life been shaped by her mother's desperate need to protect her? How many choices, how many sacrifices had Catherine made in service to that singular purpose? Portland General Hospital appeared through the rain, gray and imposing. Digger pulled into the parking garage, guiding the Suburban to a reserved space near the elevator. "Wolf's got most of the club here today," he explained as they ascended to the fourth floor. "Security detail. The Ravens have been sniffing around." Lily's heart quickened. Have they tried anything? Not yet, but they will. His certainty sent a chill through her that had nothing to do with the hospital's aggressive air conditioning. The oncology floor had transformed overnight. Iron Wolves members positioned strategically in the hallway at the nurses' station by the elevator. They acknowledged Lily with respectful nods as she passed. Hospital security seemed to have reached some accommodation with the bikers, maintaining a wary but non-confrontational presence. Catherine's room had a new door sign, "Morgan, authorized personnel only." Two Iron Wolves stood guard outside, stepping aside as Lily approached. Inside, she found a scene she could never have imagined 24 hours ago. Her mother sat propped against pillows, looking stronger than she had in weeks. Wolf occupied the chair beside the bed, his massive frame making the hospital furniture seem like dollhouse accessories. A younger man with wire-rimmed glasses and a laptop worked at a portable table in the corner, surrounded by technical equipment that seemed out of place in the sterile hospital environment. And in the center of the room stood Michael Reynolds, his tailored suit a stark contrast to the leather and denim of the Iron Wolves. Conversation halted as Lily entered. Wolf rose, tension evident in the set of his shoulders. "Lily," Catherine smiled, extending her hand. "You remember Michael, and this is Quantum, the club's technical expert." The young man with the laptop nodded without looking up. "Network security is sweep in progress. Almost done." Lily's gaze moved from face to face, sensing undercurrents and unspoken communications. "What's happening? What developments?" Wolf and Michael exchanged glances, some silent negotiation passing between them. "Tell her," Catherine said firmly. "All of it." Wolf nodded to Quantum, who turned his laptop screen toward Lily. "Hospital security camera footage from last night after you left." The screen showed the hallway outside Catherine's room, two Iron Wolves standing guard, a nurse approaching with a medication tray. The timestamp read 2:17 a.m. "Watch the nurse," Quantum instructed. Lily observed as the woman administered medication through her mother's IV line. Nothing seemed unusual until the nurse reached the doorway to leave. Her hand moved to her pocket, extracting something small that she slipped into a ceiling vent in the hallway. "Listening device," Quantum explained. "High-end, not hospital issue." "She's not one of the regular night nurses," Lily realized. "I know all of them." "Exactly," Wolf confirmed. "When Raven ran background checks, she disappeared. No record in the hospital system. No ID badge logged through security. Ghost." "She tried to access your mother's medical files too," Michael added. "Set off security flags in the system." Lily sank into a chair, implications cascading through her mind. "They're already here. Already moving against us." "Yes." Wolf's single word carried the weight of approaching violence. "Stanford transfer is compromised. Oh, we need a new plan." That's where I come in, Michael stepped forward. I've arranged for Catherine's transfer to a secure wing of the Reynolds Medical Group's research facility. Private security, restricted access, and the best oncologists in the Pacific Northwest. Lily felt suspicion coiling in her stomach. Why would you help us? Yesterday you were offering standard treatment. Today, it's a secure facility. What changed? I did some research last night. Michael's voice remained steady, but something shifted behind his eyes. The Ravens aren't just a motorcycle gang. They're a sophisticated criminal organization with connections to medical technology companies, pharmaceutical supply chains, and black market organ procurement. And how exactly would you know that? Wolf challenged. Michael hesitated, glancing at Catherine before continuing. Because Reynolds Medical Group has been targeted by them for acquisition. My father refused their overtures before he died. Now they're pressuring me. The revelation landed heavily in the room. Quantum whistled softly from his corner. That still doesn't explain why you're helping us, Lily pressed. Enlightened self-interest, Michael replied simply. Catherine's testimony combined with Wolf's evidence could bring down the Ravens permanently. That benefits everyone in this room, including me. Wolf studied Michael with narrowed eyes. Convenient timing. Necessity creates strange alliances, Michael countered. You need a secure medical facility. I need to protect my company from criminal infiltration. Our interests align. Catherine coughed a painful sound that redirected everyone's attention. While you all debate my fate, remember that I'm running out of time. The cancer isn't waiting for us to resolve trust issues. Shame crossed Wolf's weathered features. He moved to Catherine's bedside, taking her hand in his. What do you want to do, Silver Cat? Catherine's gaze moved from Wolf to Michael, then settled on Lily. I want to live long enough to make things right. If Reynolds can help with that, I'll take the chance. Lily recognized the stubborn determination in her mother's voice, the same tone that had defined boundaries and expectations throughout her childhood. Once Catherine Morgan made a decision, it stood. Then it's settled, Michael said. The transfer happens this afternoon. I'll make arrangements. Wolf stepped into Michael's personal space using his superior height and bulk to intimidating effect. My people provide security. Your facility provides treatment. Any deviation from that arrangement, any hint that this is a trap, and you'll learn why the Iron Wolves have the reputation we do. Michael didn't flinch. Understood. But remember, Mr. Donovan, in my world, the most dangerous weapons aren't carried in holsters. They're wielded with signatures and keystrokes. The tension between them crackled like static electricity before a lightning strike. Two apex predators from different ecosystems temporarily aligned, but fundamentally opposed. Quantum cleared his throat. Transfer secure channel established. Facility blueprints downloading now. Lily moved to her mother's bedside, taking the hand Wolf had released. Are you sure about this? Catherine squeezed her daughter's fingers. No, but I'm sure about you, about wanting more time with you. The rest? She glanced at Wolf, something unreadable passing between them. The rest we'll figure out together. Michael excused himself to make arrangements, his departure loosening some of the tension in the room. Quantum returned to his security sweep. Wolf drew Lily aside to the window, his voice pitched low for privacy. I don't trust him, he confessed. Reynolds is hiding something. You think it's a trap? Lily watched rain tracing patterns on the glass. Not exactly, but he knows more than he's saying. Wolf's weathered face reflected decades of hard-earned wisdom. Quantum ran background on him. Michael Reynolds, 42, Harvard Business School. Took over Reynolds Medical Group when his father Richard died 2 years ago. Company has 16 specialty clinics across the Northwest. Clean reputation until recently. Series of unusual acquisitions, specialized equipment purchases, staff changes in key positions. Wolf frowned. Patterns suggest preparation for something big. Lily processed this information against the backdrop of Portland's rainy skyline. You think he's connected to the Ravens somehow? I think everyone with power in this city is connected to everyone else with power. The question is, what kind of connection? The door opened as Michael returned now, accompanied by a woman in a pristine lab coat. Her silver-streaked hair was pulled back in a severe bun, her posture military straight. Mrs. Morgan, I'm Dr. Elena Sorokin, Chief Oncologist at Reynolds Research Division. Her accent carried traces of Eastern Europe, softened by decades in America. I'll be overseeing your transfer and treatment. Catherine straightened medical professional, recognizing medical professional. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer with metastasis to the liver. Traditional chemotherapy ineffective. Experimental immunotherapy showed initial promise, but insurance denied continued treatment. Dr. Sorokin nodded impressed. You were a medical professional. Combat nurse, 2 tours. That explains your remarkable survival rate with this diagnosis. You understand your body's signals better than most patients. She approached the bed, reviewing Catherine's charts with practiced efficiency. We'll continue immunotherapy combined with targeted radiation and an experimental enzyme treatment that has shown promising results in cases similar to yours. Lily stepped forward. Will it work? Sorokin met her gaze directly. Medicine offers no guarantees, Ms. Morgan. But your mother has survived 9 months with a diagnosis that typically claims lives in 3. That suggests an exceptional will to live and favorable biological factors. We have reason for cautious optimism. Hope, that dangerous emotion, fluttered in Lily's chest. The transfer team will arrive within the hour, Michael announced. The facility is 20 minutes from here in the West Hills. Private road gated access round-the-clock security. My people are already en route to secure the perimeter, Wolf added. Quantum has established monitoring of all approach roads. Dr. Sorokin glanced between the 2 men, registering the tension without comment. I'll prepare the necessary medication for transport. When she had left, Catherine gestured for Lily to come closer. There's something I need to tell you, something I should have said years ago. Wolf moved toward the door. I'll give you privacy. No, Catherine stopped him. You should hear this too, Jack. It concerns all of us. He returned to the bedside, his expression guarded. Michael remained near the door, an awkward witness to the family moment, not his own. Catherine took a deep breath, gathering strength. Lily, remember the photo album Jack brought yesterday? There was one picture I didn't show you, one I've kept hidden all these years. She reached for her bag beside the bed, extracting a worn photograph protected in a plastic sleeve. Her hands trembled as she passed it to Lily. The image showed a younger Catherine in a hospital bed, exhausted but radiant, cradling a newborn infant. Beside her stood Wolf, his face a decade younger, but unmistakable, looking at the baby with an expression of wonder and terror combined. Lily stared at the photograph, understanding dawning slowly. This is you, Catherine confirmed, minutes after you were born, with your father. Wolf made a sound, half gasp and half groan, reaching for the wall to steady himself. You said you were going for coffee, he whispered. You said you'd be right back. I waited in that hospital room for hours. Tears traced silver paths down Catherine's hollow cheeks. I saw a raven in the hospital corridor, one of Victor's lieutenants. I knew then that they'd found me, that none of us would be safe if I stayed. So I ran. Again. Lily couldn't tear her eyes from the photograph, the evidence of a moment that had been stolen from all of them, a family that might have been. I didn't know. Wolf's voice cracked with emotion. All these years I didn't know I had a daughter. Michael cleared his throat softly. I should step outside. Stay, Catherine commanded, surprising everyone. What happens next concerns you too. She struggled to sit up straight, determination lending strength to her wasted frame. The Ravens wanted me silenced because I witnessed them murder a homeless veteran for his organs. But that wasn't the whole truth. Her gaze fixed on Michael. They were supplying those organs to paying customers, wealthy people who didn't want to wait on transplant lists. And their medical partner in this operation was Reynolds Medical Group. Your father, Richard Reynolds, built his empire on blood money. The accusation exploded in the room like a grenade. Michael staggered back as if physically struck. Wolf moved instantly, positioning himself between Michael and the bedhand, moving toward his waistband. That's a lie, Michael whispered, face draining of color. The evidence is on that USB drive, Catherine continued relentlessly. Financial records, operating room logs, patient files, all tied to Reynolds Medical Group's first facility. Lily looked from her mother to Michael, struggling to process this revelation. You knew all along, you knew. Michael raised his hands, palms outward. I suspected. I didn't know for certain until last night when I accessed my father's encrypted files. His voice steadied to resolve, replacing shock. That's why I'm helping you, not just to protect my company, but to make amends for what my father did. Convenient redemption story, Wolf growled. Why should we believe you? Because I could have buried this. Michael's eyes flashed with sudden intensity. I could have eliminated the evidence, silenced the witnesses, protected the family legacy. Instead, I'm here offering protection and treatment. Catherine watched him with the practiced assessment of a combat nurse who had seen men at their best and worst. He's telling the truth, or at least part of it. The tension in the room shifted, realigning around this new axis of understanding. Before anyone could speak, Quantum looked up sharply from his laptop. Security breach at the hospital's south entrance. 4 men tactical gear under civilian clothes. Raven's signature movement pattern. Wolf activated his phone. All units south entrance. Incoming hostiles. Protect the 4th floor at all costs. Michael moved to the window, peering out at the parking structure across the street. We need to accelerate the timeline. My security team can be here in 10 minutes. We don't have 10 minutes, Wolf countered. Quantum evacuation route, the younger man typed frantically. Service elevator to basement, then underground tunnel to the research building. Maintenance access card required. Michael removed his wallet, extracting a sleek black card. Universal access. Benefits of owning the company that maintains the hospital security systems. Wolf nodded grudgingly. Digger prepped the patient for immediate transport. The mountain of a man who had driven Lily to the hospital materialized from the hallway, moving to Catherine's bed with surprising gentleness. On it, boss. Lily stood frozen, the photograph still clutched in her hand as chaos erupted around her. Medical equipment disconnected, IV lines capped. Catherine transfers to a wheelchair. The practiced efficiency of people accustomed to crisis. Lily! Wolf gripped her shoulders, snapping her back to the present. Stay close to me. No matter what happens, do not get separated. She nodded, tucking the photograph into her pocket alongside Michael's business card. Past and present nestled together against her heart. The hallway had transformed into a staging area for conflict. Iron wolves positioned strategically, hospital staff and other patients evacuated. The elevator dinged its arrival on the floor, doors opening to reveal 2 more club members. South stairwell breached, one reported. They're moving up. Time to go, Wolf ordered. Diamond formation around Catherine and Lily, Reynolds and Quantum in the center. Move. They proceeded down the hall toward the service elevator, a small army in tight formation. Quantum monitored hospital security cameras from a tablet as they moved. 4 hostiles on 3rd floor approaching east stairwell, ETA 2 minutes. Michael accessed the service elevator with his card. Once we reach the basement, it's 300 yards to the research building. Underground tunnel is narrow, single file only. The elevator doors slid open. They crowded in, tension thick as Wolf's men positioned themselves protectively around Catherine's wheelchair. Lily found herself pressed between her newly discovered father and the man whose company had denied her mother treatment. The irony wasn't lost on her. Quantum's tablet emitted a soft alert. Camera feeds compromised. Switching to backup system. The elevator began its descent, lurching slightly under their combined weight. Catherine reached for Lily's hands, squeezing with surprising strength. Whatever happens, she whispered, remember that everything I did was to protect you. I know, Mom. The simple truth of it settled over Lily like a blanket. Despite secrets, despite lies of omission, her mother's love had never been in question. The elevator shuddered to a halt between floors. Emergency lights activated, bathing everyone in eerie red illumination. They've overridden the system, Quantum reported, fingers flying across his tablet, attempting to restore control. Wolf checked his weapon, a compact pistol that had materialized from beneath his vest. Options. Michael studied the elevator control panel. Maintenance access hatch in the ceiling. Ladder in the shaft leads to basement level. 2 exposed, Wolf countered. They'll be waiting. Not if we split up, Michael suggested. Create a diversion on the 2nd floor while the main group continues to the basement. Wolf's eyes narrowed. And who exactly volunteers for suicide duty? I do. Michael's response came without hesitation. I know this building better than anyone. I can lead them away long enough for you to get Catherine and Lily to the research facility. Suspicion warred with pragmatism on Wolf's weathered face. Why would you sacrifice yourself? I told you, redemption. Michael met his gaze steadily. My father's sins are mine to rectify. A moment of understanding passed between the men, transcending their differences. Wolf nodded once. Quantum restore elevator function. Split exit strategy. Reynolds creates diversion at second floor. Main group continues to basement. The younger man worked his technological magic. The elevator hummed back to life, continuing its descent. When it stopped at the second floor, Michael positioned himself at the doors. The research facility security code is 77394. Dr. Sorokin will meet you at the tunnel entrance. His eyes found Lily's. Trust your instincts. They're good ones. The doors opened. Michael stepped out into the corridor alone and resolute. The last image Lily had of him was his straight back as he walked deliberately away from safety toward danger. The elevator continued downward. Lily felt the photograph and business card pressing against her hip, twin reminders of connections formed and broken in the span of 24 hours. He'll be okay, Catherine said softly, though her eyes betrayed her uncertainty. The basement level appeared dim and utilitarian. Wolf organized their exit with military precision, 2 men in front, 2 behind Catherine's wheelchair, pushed by Digger, in the middle Lily, and Quantum protected within the formation. They moved through service corridors, past boilers and electrical panels, deeper into the hospital's hidden infrastructure. The air grew cooler, damper, heavy with the scent of concrete and standing water. Tunnel entrance ahead, Quantum reported. Maintenance section C. A heavy metal door blocked their path, secured with an electronic lock. Wolf swiped Michael's access card. The lock remained red. Override engaged, Quantum muttered. They're in the system. Gunfire echoed from distant corridors, the sound distorted by concrete and pipes. The Ravens had entered the basement. Manual override, Wolf commanded. Digger, the mountain nodded, handing Catherine's wheelchair to another club member. He approached the door, extracting tools from his vest. Within moments, the lock mechanism lay in pieces and the door swung open. The tunnel beyond stretched into darkness, a utilitarian passage barely wide enough for 2 people. Emergency lights cast elongated shadows that danced with sinister implication. Go, Wolf ordered. Single file. Catherine first, then Lily. Quantum behind them. 2 men front, 2 rear. I'll bring up the back. They proceeded into the tunnel, the sound of their footsteps creating an eerie rhythm against the concrete. Lily kept one hand on her mother's wheelchair, the other trailing along the damp wall for balance. The air grew thick with tension and the metallic taste of fear. Behind them, the door crashed open. Gunfire erupted in staccato bursts. Wolf shouted for them to run. The orderly procession transformed into desperate flight. Digger pushed Catherine's wheelchair with reckless speed, navigating the uneven floor with practiced skill. Lily ran alongside, lungs burning, legs pumping. Quantum pounded behind them, his technological expertise useless in this primitive fight for survival. More gunfire, a cry of pain. One of the iron wolves at the rear went down. Wolf returned fire, covering their retreat, the sound deafening in the confined space. Research building ahead, Digger panted. 100 yards. They rounded a bend in the tunnel. Light appeared in the distance, a rectangle of salvation. Sorokin stood silhouetted in the doorway, gesturing urgently. Lily glanced back. Wolf engaged in hand-to-hand combat with a Raven operative, his pistol empty, fighting with the ferocity of a man protecting his family. Behind him, more shadows moved in the gloom, advancing relentlessly. Go, Wolf roared, slamming his opponent against the tunnel wall. Get to safety! They reached the tunnel exit, spilling into the sterile brightness of the research facility's basement. Security personnel in Reynolds Medical Group uniforms secured the door as they passed through, establishing a defensive perimeter. Where's Wolf? Lily gasped, turning back toward the tunnel. Gunfire answered her, a final desperate exchange. Then silence. Dad? The word escaped before she could process it, acknowledging a truth her heart had accepted before her mind. Dr. Sorokin gripped her arm. We must move Mrs. Morgan to the treatment area immediately. Her vital signs are critical. Catherine reached for her daughter from the wheelchair. Lily, listen to me. Wolf can take care of himself. He survived worse. I can't leave him. The certainty of it settled into her bones. You must. Catherine's voice carried the authority that had shaped Lily's childhood. I need you with me, please. The conflict tore at Lily's heart. Her mother weakened and vulnerable, needing her newly discovered father fighting for his life equally in need. An impossible choice crystallized in a moment of crisis. Before she could decide, the tunnel door burst open. Wolf staggered through, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead, supported by the remaining iron wolves. Relief flooded Lily's system, weakening her knees. "Lock it down," Wolf commanded, his voice strained but firm. "They're right behind us." Security personnel sealed and barricaded the door as Wolf limped to Catherine's side. "You okay, Silver Cat?" She nodded, reaching up to touch his bloodied face. "Just like old times." A ghost of a smile crossed his weathered features. "Yeah, just like old times." Dr. Sorokin cleared her throat. "We need to proceed to the secure medical wing. This way." They followed her through pristine corridors, the utilitarian basement, giving way to the cutting-edge research facility above. Glass and steel dominated the architecture, sunlight streaming through strategically placed skylights. Security cameras monitored every approach, every doorway. The medical wing occupied the building's top floor, accessible only by secured elevator. As they ascended, Lily found herself studying Dr. Sorokin's profile, noting the precision of her movements, the clinical detachment in her gaze. "Have you worked with Reynolds Medical Group long?" Lily asked, seeking normalcy in conversation. "5 years." The doctor's response was clipped. "I was recruited from Johns Hopkins specifically for the advanced oncology program." "By Richard Reynolds or Michael?" Something flickered across the doctor's composed features. "Richard initially. Michael has continued his father's commitment to cutting-edge treatment." The elevator doors opened onto a space that resembled a luxury hotel more than a hospital. Private suites with panoramic views of Portland's skyline. State-of-the-art medical equipment disguised by tasteful design. A nurse's station staffed by professionals in designer scrubs. "We've prepared the executive suite for Mrs. Morgan," Dr. Sorokin informed them. "Complete isolation protocols, positive pressure environment to prevent infection, and monitoring systems that track even the smallest changes in vital signs." Catherine was transferred from the wheelchair to a hospital bed that adjusted automatically to her body's pressure points. Monitors activated, displaying her vital signs in holographic detail above the bed. Wolf whistled softly. "Impressive setup." "Reynolds Medical Group spares no expense for priority patients," Dr. Sorokin replied. Lily approached the window, gazing out at the city below. From this height, Portland looked peaceful, orderly. The chaos of the past 24 hours reduced to miniature scale. Somewhere out there, Michael Reynolds was either evading the Ravens or captured by them. The thought brought a surprising twist of concern. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. An unknown number, the message simple: "Safe for now, stay alert. Trust no one completely. Mr." Relief mingled with renewed suspicion. If Michael had escaped the Ravens, how and why? Warn her to trust no one. Wolf joined her at the window, his reflection appearing beside hers in the glass. Blood had been cleaned from his face, revealing stitches along his temple. "He made it out." Lily showed him the message. Wolf frowned. "Convenient." "You still don't trust him." "I trust what I can verify." His weathered hand rested on her shoulder, the touch tentative, as if unsure of his right to such familiarity. "Quantum is running security checks on this facility. Something doesn't feel right." Lily turned to face him, studying the features she now recognized in her own mirror reflection. The shape of the eyes, the set of the jaw. "He risked his life to help us escape." "Maybe." Wolf's expression remained guarded. "Or maybe he engineered this entire situation." The accusation hung between them, neither fully embraced nor dismissed. Lily glanced back at her mother, now surrounded by medical professionals preparing for treatment. "What happens now?" Wolf's gaze followed hers. "Now we protect Catherine while she gets treatment. We gather evidence against the Ravens. We find out exactly how deep Reynolds' connection goes. And we make sure those responsible pay for 23 years of separation." The conviction in his voice resonated with something primal in Lily's soul, a certainty that transcended doubt and fear. Whatever complications lay ahead, whatever secrets remained to be uncovered, she had found her father. The realization settled over her like a missing puzzle piece clicking into place. "I should have been there," Wolf said quietly. "For both of you, all those years. Mom thought she was protecting us. She was. The admission seemed to cost him. The Ravens would have used you against me, would have killed you both to get to me. His voice dropped lower. But knowing that doesn't make up for missing your first steps, your first words, your graduation. Lily felt tears threatening emotions too complex for simple expression. We have whatever time is left. Wolf nodded, resolve hardening his features. And I'll make damn sure it's more than 3 months, whatever it takes. Across the room, Dr. Sorokin approached, tablet in hand. We're ready to begin the first treatment protocol. The combination therapy requires Mrs. Morgan to be conscious for the initial administration. They moved to Catherine's bedside. She looked small against the pristine sheets, her once vibrant presence diminished by illness, but not defeated. Her eyes found Lily's, then Wolf's, a smile transforming her gaunt features. My family, she whispered, together at last. Dr. Sorokin checked the IV lines. The treatment combines targeted immunotherapy with an experimental enzyme that breaks down cancer cells' protective mechanisms. Side effects can be significant, but results in cases like yours have been promising. Catherine nodded. I understand the risks. Proceed. As the doctor activated the medication, Lily's phone vibrated again. Another message from Michael. Check Dr. Sorokin's credentials immediately. Something wrong. Alarm bells rang in Lily's mind. She glanced at the doctor, now adjusting Catherine's medication flow with practiced efficiency. Nothing seemed amiss yet. Michael's warning echoed with urgency. She showed the message to Wolf, whose expression darkened instantly. He motioned to Quantum, beckoning him closer. Run full background on Sorokin, he whispered. Priority 1. The younger man nodded, retreating to a corner with his equipment. Dr. Sorokin continued her work, apparently oblivious to the sudden tension. The first phase takes approximately 30 minutes, she explained. You'll feel warmth spreading through your system, possibly some discomfort as the enzymes activate. Catherine nodded, her eyes never leaving Lily's face. I've endured worse. Minutes passed with excruciating slowness. Catherine's monitors displayed stable vital signs. Nothing appeared wrong yet. Dread pooled in Lily's stomach, a premonition without explanation. Quantum approached, his expression grave. He showed his tablet to Wolf, whose face transformed with rage. Stop the treatment, Wolf commanded, moving toward Dr. Sorokin with predatory intent. Now, son. The doctor turned surprised. That's impossible. The protocol cannot be interrupted once initiated. Elena Sorokin died 3 years ago in Moscow, Wolf stated flatly. Whoever you are, you're not her. The revelation froze everyone in the room. The false doctor's composure never wavered, her hands steady on Catherine's IV line. The treatment continues, she said simply. Any interruption would be unfortunate for the patient. Catherine's monitors began showing elevated heart rate, blood pressure rising rapidly. Her breathing became labored, skin flushing with unnatural color. What have you done? Lily demanded, rushing to her mother's side. The woman, who called herself Dr. Sorokin, smiled, the expression never reaching her cold eyes. Simply accelerated the inevitable. Mrs. Morgan possesses information that certain parties find inconvenient. Wolf lunged forward, but the false doctor produced a small remote control from her pocket. The medication is remotely controlled. One wrong move, and the dosage increases to lethal levels instantly. Catherine gasped in pain, her body arching against the sheets. Lily, she whispered. The evidence. USB. The false Sorokin's smile widened. Yes, the famous evidence. The driving force behind this elaborate charade. Tell me, where is it now? Wolf stood immobile, rage and helplessness warring across his weathered features. Let her go. The evidence for her life. An appealing offer, but unnecessary. The woman gestured toward the monitors displaying Catherine's deteriorating condition. Time is handling my problem quite efficiently. Lily's mind raced, desperation fueling her thoughts. Her medical training, abandoned years ago, surged to the forefront. Immunotherapy reactions, enzyme cascades, potential countermeasures. Epinephrine, she blurted. She's having an anaphylactic reaction. She needs epinephrine and corticosteroids immediately. The false doctor's smile faltered slightly. Impressive, but futile. The formula is designed to mimic natural processes. No standard countermeasures will work. Catherine's hand found Lily's, squeezing with desperate strength. Remember, she gasped. Remember everything I taught you. The words triggered a cascade of memories. Catherine teaching a young Lily basic medical procedures. Catherine drilling her on emergency responses. Catherine preparing her daughter to survive in a dangerous world, always preparing her. Quantum, Lily called. The hospital pharmacy system. Can you override in it? The young man blinked, understanding dawning. Already in. What do you need? Access to the automated dispensary. I need specific medications. As she rattled off the list, Wolf positioned himself between the false Sorokin and the door, effectively trapping her in the room. You won't leave here alive, he promised, his voice deadly calm. Perhaps not, she conceded, but neither will she. Catherine's monitors showed critical values, now her systems cascading toward failure. Lily worked frantically with Quantum to access the medications she needed, a desperate race against accelerating death. Got it, Quantum announced. Dispensary unlocked on this floor, sending Digger now. The false Sorokin watched with clinical detachment. Impressive coordination. The Iron Wolves are more sophisticated than reports suggested. You have no idea what we're capable of, Wolf growled. The door burst open as Digger returned, arms laden with medical supplies. Lily grabbed them, muscle memory from her medical training guiding her actions. She prepared injections with practiced efficiency, her hands steady despite the chaos of her emotions. Hold her, Lily instructed Wolf, who moved to stabilize Catherine's increasingly convulsive movements. As Lily administered the first injection, the false Sorokin lunged for the door. Wolf's men intercepted her, the struggle brief and decisive. She lay subdued on the floor, no longer the confident physician, now a captured operative. Lily continued working, administering medication after medication in a precisely timed sequence. Catherine's body responded sluggishly, her vital signs hovering at critical thresholds. Come on, Mom, Lily whispered. Fight. Catherine's eyes found hers, consciousness fading, but still present. Always, she breathed, always fighting. Wolf held Catherine's other hand, his massive frame bent in supplication, murmuring words too quiet for others to hear. Promises, perhaps. Prayers. The language of a man facing the unthinkable for the second time in his life. Slowly, incrementally, Catherine's vital signs began to stabilize. The desperate measures Lily had implemented were working, pulling her mother back from the precipice of death engineered by the false doctor. She's stabilizing, Lily announced, relief threatening to buckle her knees. Wolf straightened, turning to the captured operative with murder in his eyes. Now we deal with you. Before he could move, security alarms blared throughout the facility. Quantum's equipment lit up with alerts. Perimeter breach, he reported. Multiple hostiles, Raven's signature tactics. Wolf cursed, torn between vengeance and protection. Secure Catherine. Prepare for evacuation. As they mobilized for yet another escape, Lily's phone vibrated with a final message from Michael Roof. Medical helicopter. 5 minutes. Trust me. She showed Wolf, who studied the message with narrowed eyes. Could be a trap. Could be our only chance, Lily countered. Outside the window, Portland's peaceful facade had been shattered. Black vehicles converged on the facility, armed figures deploying with military precision. Wolf made his decision. Roof, now. As they prepared Catherine for transport once more, Lily glanced at the false doctor, now restrained and under guard. Why, she asked simply. Why target my mother after all these years? The woman's clinical detachment had given way to resignation. Because the past never stays buried, especially when billions of dollars are at stake. What billions? Ask Michael Reynolds about Project Lazarus. Ask him what his father really built in the sublevels of this facility. Her smile returned, knowing and malevolent. Ask him why the Ravens want Catherine's genetic material more than her silence. The cryptic answer raised more questions than it answered, adding another layer to the already complex mystery surrounding Catherine's past. As they moved toward the roof access, Lily felt the weight of the photograph in her pocket, the tangible evidence of a family torn apart by secrets and violence. Whatever happened next, whatever revelations awaited them, one truth remained constant. She had found her father. Her mother might survive. And together they faced whatever threats emerged from the shadows of the past. The battle for survival continued, but now they fought as one. Wind whipped across the rooftop with vengeful fury, carrying the distant wail of sirens. Portland spread beneath them, oblivious to the life and death drama unfolding above its rainy streets. Lily Morgan steadied herself against the helicopter pad's safety railing, her auburn hair lashing her face like tiny whips. Catherine's gurney rattled across the concrete, pushed by Wolf and Digger with desperate urgency. The makeshift medical apparatus Lily had assembled swayed precariously with each movement. 4 iron wolves formed a protective perimeter, weapons drawn, scanning the access points with practiced vigilance. 2 minutes, Quantum called over the wind, eyes fixed on his tablet. Ravens have breached the 6th floor. Elevator locked down, but they're in the stairwells. Wolf positioned Catherine's gurney in the center of the helipad, his weathered face set in stone. "Where's this chopper?" Reynolds promised. As if summoned by his doubt, a sleek black helicopter appeared over the Portland skyline, rotors slicing through rain clouds, its approach vector steep and purposeful. No markings adorned its gleaming hull, the windows tinted to perfect opacity. "Incoming aircraft unidentified," Quantum reported, his expression troubled. "No registered flight plan, no transponder signal." Wolf's hand moved to his weapon. "Could be Ravens." The stairwell door exploded outward. 2 iron wolves went down in the first volley of gunfire. The remaining club members returned fire, creating a wall of lead between the attackers and Catherine's vulnerable position. "Contact!" Digger shouted, positioning his massive frame as a human shield beside the gurney. The helicopter descended with impossible speed, hovering 10 feet above the helipad, its downdraft creating a tempest of rain and debris. The side door slid open, revealing Michael Reynolds in tactical gear, his face streaked with blood and eyes wild with urgency. "Now get her in now!" he shouted above the roar of rotors and gunfire. Wolf hesitated for a crucial second, suspicion warring with necessity. Another volley of gunfire decided him. He nodded to Digger, and together they lifted Catherine's gurney toward the hovering aircraft. Lily scrambled aboard, first securing the medical equipment as they passed her mother's frail form into the cabin. Wolf followed, turning back to provide covering fire for his remaining men. "Digger, Quantum, move your asses!" he roared. The younger man sprinted for the helicopter, clutching his precious equipment. Digger laid down suppressive fire, his massive frame silhouetted against muzzle flashes like some ancient war god. "Go!" Digger shouted as Quantum leapt aboard. "Too heavy. Go without me." Wolf reached out, arms straining. "No man left behind, move." The mountain of a man turned, prepared to make his run, when a fusillade of bullets caught him mid-stride. He stumbled, crimson blooming across his leather vest, then straightened with inhuman determination. 3 more steps each, leaving bloody footprints on the concrete before another burst spun him around. Digger fell to his knees, looking up at Wolf with an expression of perfect serenity. "Take care of them, boss," he mouthed, no longer audible above the helicopter's roar. Michael pulled Wolf inside as the aircraft banked sharply away from the rooftop. "He's gone. We have to move." The helicopter had accelerated away from the Reynolds medical facility, climbing steeply into the cloud cover as Wolf stared at the diminishing rooftop, watching his loyal soldier disappear from view. His face contained centuries of grief compressed into moments. "He was with me for 20 years, Wolf said to no one in particular. "Afghanistan, Iraq. Every bad situation I ever walked into, Digger, was on my 6." Michael secured the door, moving to the cockpit to speak with the pilot. The helicopter interior was configured as a medical transport equipment, bolted to the walls, monitoring systems already activated. Catherine lay secured to the gurney, her breathing shallow but stable, consciousness flickering behind closed eyelids. Lily worked methodically, connecting her mother to the onboard systems, years of medical training, resurfacing when needed most. "Where are we going?" she called to Michael. "Private airfield outside Salem," he replied, returning from the cockpit. "From there, a medical jet to a secure facility in Colorado. Underground. Off-grid." Wolf's grief transmuted to suspicion, his red-rimmed eyes narrowing. More promises, more facilities, more betrayals waiting to happen. Michael met his gaze without flinching. "The false Sorokin was not my doing. My security team has been compromised at the highest levels. This extraction team reports directly to me outside normal channels. And we're supposed to trust that," Wolf gestured to the helicopter interior. "For all we know, you're delivering us straight to the Ravens. If that were true, why warn you about Sorokin?" Michael countered, genuine frustration breaking through his composed exterior. "Why risk my life creating a diversion at the hospital? Why extract you when the Ravens had you cornered?" Lily interrupted their confrontation, her focus unwavering from her mother. "Whoever side you're on, I need medical supplies. epinephrine, corticosteroids, broad-spectrum antibiotics. Michael moved to a compartment beneath a seat, extracting a comprehensive medical kit. Everything you requested is here. I came prepared. The simple efficiency of his response quieted Wolf momentarily. Lily accepted the supplies, continuing her treatment with steadier hands than her racing heart would suggest possible. Quantum cleared his throat from his position near the tails section where he had established a makeshift workstation. We have a tail, 2 o'clock, military-grade helicopter, unmarked. Michael swore under his breath, moving again to the cockpit. The aircraft banked sharply, accelerating with gut-wrenching speed. G-forces pressed them into their seats as the pilot executed evasive maneuvers. What about the evidence? Wolf demanded suddenly. The USB drive with Catherine's testimony and Mike's documentation. Michael hesitated, hand moving unconsciously to his jacket pocket. Secure. Show me, Wolf insisted. After everything that's happened, I want visual confirmation. After a moment's consideration, Michael extracted a matte black USB drive from an interior pocket. This contains everything: financial records, operational details, patient lists, evidence linking the original Reynolds Medical Group to the Ravens organ harvesting operations 23 years ago. And your father's involvement, Lily added, watching his face carefully. Pain flickered across his features. Yes, my father's crimes documented in excruciating detail. Wolf reached for the drive. Michael pulled back instinctively. This is insurance, he explained. The only thing keeping all of us alive. If the Ravens obtain this, they'll eliminate everyone in this helicopter without hesitation. And if you decide to destroy it to protect your family name, Wolf challenged. Something hardened in Michael's expression. My family name is already destroyed in my eyes. I've spent 2 years unraveling my father's legacy, dismantling his shadow operations, redirecting Reynolds' resources toward legitimate medical research. This evidence doesn't threaten me. It validates what I've been fighting against since I discovered the truth. The conviction in his voice gave Wolf pause. Before he could respond, the helicopter lurched violently. Missile lock, the pilot shouted from the cockpit, deploying countermeasures. The aircraft dropped in a stomach-churning descent flares deploying from external pods. Catherine's monitors beeped in protest as the turbulence disrupted her tenuous stability. Hold her, Lily shouted to Wolf, who moved instantly to secure Catherine's frail form against the violent maneuvers. Michael strapped himself into the co-pilot's seat, donning a headset. Eagle Base, this is Talon 1. We are under attack. Request immediate assistance at coordinates Lima 27. Static answered him, broken by fragments of response. Talon 1, interference, communications compromised. Unable to. The helicopter leveled momentarily, only to bank hard right as a projectile streaked past the windshield. They're hurting us, the pilot announced grimly, forcing us away from the airfield toward the mountains. Michael scanned the terrain below through a tactical display. Options limited. We're burning fuel at emergency rates with these evasives. 20 minutes max before we're grounded. Wolf joined them in the cockpit, his expression grim. The Ravens want Catherine alive. If they wanted us dead, that first missile wouldn't have missed. Agreed. Michael nodded. They need her genetic material, need her alive for Project Lazarus. Wolf's head snapped toward him. What do you know about Project Lazarus? Only fragments. My father's encrypted files mentioned it in connection with specialized genetic research. Something about using specific markers to enhance cellular regeneration. In English, Wolf demanded. They believe Catherine's DNA contains a unique mutation that could lead to extended human lifespan, possibly indefinite longevity. The revelation landed heavily in the confined space. Lily overheard from her position beside her mother, the implications staggering her. That's impossible, she protested. Genetic immortality is science fiction. Michael shook his head. Not immortality, radical life extension. Catherine's cells demonstrate unusual regenerative properties. That's why her cancer responded to treatments that should have failed. Why she survived 9 months with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And that's why the Ravens never stopped hunting her, Wolf realized. Not just because she witnessed their organ harvesting operation, but because her DNA is the key to their ultimate product, selling extended life to the highest bidders. Catherine stirred on the gurney, eyes fluttering open. Jack, her voice emerged as a thread of sound beneath the helicopter's roar. Wolf moved immediately to her side, taking her hand in his. I'm here, Silver Cat. Stay with us. The USB, she whispered, more than just evidence, contains my genetic profile. Full sequencing. The mutation, mapped and documented. Michael joined them, surprise evident on his face. You knew all this time, you knew about your genetic anomaly. Catherine's laugh emerged as a painful wheeze. Why do you think I became a combat nurse government program? Identified in childhood, studied my whole life. Her gaze shifted to Lily, passed to my daughter. Lily felt the world tilt beneath her. What? Your accelerated learning, perfect memory for medical procedures, resistance to infections. Catherine squeezed her daughter's hand. On accidents, genetic markers. The helicopter lurched again, more violently this time. Warning lights flashed across the instrument panel. Hydraulic system compromised, the pilot reported. Must land immediately. Michael scanned the terrain below. There, logging, clearing 2 miles ahead. Defensible position with forest cover for extraction. And if extraction never comes, Wolf challenged, then we make our stand there instead of crashing into a mountainside. Michael's pragmatism brooked no argument. The pilot guided the damaged aircraft toward the clearing, the descent steeper than optimal control surfaces responding sluggishly. Trees rushed upward with alarming speed. Brace for impact, the pilot shouted. They hit hard skids, digging furrows through soft earth, the airframe groaning in protest. The helicopter tilted precariously before settling at an awkward angle. Rotors still spinning, but rapidly slowing. Everyone out, Michael commanded. Quantum, grab your equipment. Wolf, help with Catherine. Lily, medical supplies. Move on. They evacuated with practiced efficiency. Wolf and the pilot carrying Catherine's gurney across the uneven ground toward the tree line. Quantum gathered his tech into a waterproof backpack. Lily collected essential medical supplies in a portable case. Michael was last out, pausing to retrieve something from beneath the co-pilot's seat. A compact rifle with telescoping stock emerged in his hands, followed by a tactical vest laden with ammunition. You came prepared for war, Wolf noted, eyeing the equipment. I came prepared for ravens, Michael corrected. There's a difference. They established a defensive position 30 yards into the forest edge, using fallen logs and natural depressions for cover. Catherine's gurney was positioned in the most protected spot, partially sheltered by a massive fir trees spreading roots. Pursuing helicopter will have our position, the pilot reported, checking his sidearm. Estimated arrival 3 minutes. Michael distributed communication earpieces. Channel secure. Quantum surveillance options. The young tech specialist had already deployed a series of small devices around their perimeter. Portable motion sensors active. Thermal imaging limited by tree canopy. Working on satellite uplink with borrowed resources. Borrowed? Lily asked as she stabilized her mother's IV lines. He means hacked. Wolf translated, positioning himself with clear sight lines to the clearing. Quantum doesn't ask permission to use government satellites. Only in emergencies. Quantum defended, fingers flying across his portable keyboard. Like now. Catherine's breathing had stabilized, color returning gradually to her ashen features. Her eyes found Lily's, a lifetime of unspoken truths suspended between them. I should have told you, Catherine whispered, about your father, about your genetics, about everything. Lily adjusted the medication flow, professional focus, a shield against overwhelming emotions. Later, Mom, you can explain everything later. If there is a later, Catherine's gaze drifted to the sky, visible through the canopy. The ravens want what's in our blood, Lily. They always have. Your father protected me once. Now he must protect you. Wolf moved to Catherine's side, his weathered hand engulfing hers. No one touches our daughter, not while I draw breath. The simple declaration, the first acknowledgement of their shared parenthood, straightened his spine with renewed purpose. The distant thrum of helicopter rotors grew steadily louder, the pursuing aircraft approaching with unhurried confidence. Michael positioned himself beside Wolf, both men preparing for battle despite their lingering distrust. 6 men minimum, Michael assessed, tactically trained, military-grade weapons. They'll establish a perimeter, then advance methodically. Wolf nodded. Standard Ravens protocol. They want Catherine alive, which gives us an advantage. What about Lily? Michael asked quietly. If Catherine passed her genetic markers, then they want Lily too, Wolf finished grimly. which means we put them both on your extraction transport while we provide a distraction. Michael checked his weapon. And if extraction doesn't arrive in time, then we make sure none of the Ravens live to report finding either of them. The simple, brutal logic of Wolf's fallback plan silenced further discussion. The enemy helicopter circled the clearing twice before landing with precision beside their damaged aircraft. 6 figures in tactical gear deployed in practice formation, weapons scanning the forest edge. "Hold," Michael murmured into his comm. "Let them commit to the search." The Ravens spread out, approaching the tree line with cautious efficiency. Quantum surveillance devices transmitted their movements to his screen, allowing the defenders to track each enemy position. 3 minutes until they reach our position," he reported. Lily finished securing Catherine's medical apparatus, then moved beside her father, a stolen pistol, clutched in hands steadier than she had expected. "I've never fired a gun before," she admitted quietly. Wolf's eyes never left the approaching threat, but his voice softened. "Point and squeeze. Breathe out as you fire. Aim for center mass if it comes to that." "I hope it doesn't." "Me too, kid. Me too." The lead Raven operative reached the forest edge, scanning the undergrowth with practiced precision. He paused, head tilting slightly, some instinct warning him of the trap. His hand rose, signaling his team to halt. "They sense something," Quantum whispered, changing approach vector. Michael tensed beside Wolf. "They're flanking us, trying to circle around." "Standard tactic," Wolf acknowledged. "Quantum southern perimeter. Clear for now, but they'll reach it in 60 seconds at current pace." Decision crystallized in Wolf's eyes. "We move, now, south by southwest toward higher ground. Staggered retreat, leapfrog coverage." Michael nodded, military training evident in his immediate grasp of the strategy. "Quantum first with Catherine, then Lily. We cover. Pilot takes rear security." They moved with silent efficiency, Quantum and the pilot carrying Catherine's gurney along a natural depression that provided minimal cover. Lily followed, medical case clutched to her chest, every step carefully placed to avoid telltale sounds. Wolf and Michael established firing positions, covering the retreat. When the others had gained 30 yards, Michael tapped Wolf's shoulder, and they both withdrew to new positions. The cat-and-mouse game continued for 20 minutes, the defenders maintaining their slim advantage through Wolf's woodland craft and Quantum's technology. They ascended steadily, gaining difficult terrain that would slow their pursuers. Catherine remained conscious, her eyes tracking their movement, hands occasionally reaching to adjust her own IV lines with a nurse's practiced competence. Despite her weakness, her mind remained sharp, calculating angles and coverages as they established new positions. "Like old times," she murmured to Wolf during one pause. "Kandahar, the mountain extraction." He smiled grimly. "Except we had air support then, and you weren't the package we were protecting." "The tables turned," she acknowledged, "but some things remain constant." Their eyes met, decades of separation dissolved in a moment of perfect understanding. Whatever had driven them apart, whatever secrets and dangers had forced Catherine's desperate flight, the connection between them remained unbroken. Lily observed this silent communication, feeling simultaneously intrusive and excluded. These two people, her parents, shared a history and language she could barely comprehend. Yet their blood ran in her veins, their combined genetics forming the person she had become. Quantum interrupted her contemplation. Communication signal detected. Encrypted but familiar protocol. Might be extraction team. Michael moved to his position. Frequency. Military band specialized segment. Attempting to establish contact. While Quantum worked his technological magic, Michael surveyed their position through compact binoculars. "Raven's still tracking. Slower now, more cautious. They've realized we're not amateurs." Wolf grunted agreement. "They'll call for reinforcements soon if they haven't already. We need that extraction." Catherine's monitoring equipment emitted a warning tone. Lily moved immediately to her mother's side, checking vital signs with professional efficiency. "Blood pressure dropping," she reported. "The medication is wearing off. She needs stable medical care soon." The urgency of their situation pressed upon them all, a countdown clock to inevitable confrontation. Quantum worked furiously at his equipment, attempting to establish communication with potential rescuers. "Signal strengthening," he announced. "Directional indicator suggests approach from northwest. Aerial transport based on signature." Michael nodded, relief evident in his posture. That's them. My extraction team operates on secure channels outside normal protocols. Convenient. Wolf observed suspicion never fully absent from his assessment. Necessary, Michael countered. When you discover your father built an empire on criminal enterprise, you learn to create systems he never touched. A distant mechanical thrum grew steadily more distinct, the sound of rotors cutting through mountain air. Not the pursuing Raven's helicopter, but something larger, more powerful. Black Hawk Wolf identified the sound with a veteran's precision. Military grade. Michael allowed himself a tight smile. Former special operations pilots. Private contractors with specialized extraction experience. Completely loyal because I know where their families live. That's not comforting, Lily noted, continuing to monitor her mother's deteriorating condition. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be effective. The Black Hawk appeared over the ridgeline, matte black against the darkening sky. No markings, no identification, a ghost ship materializing from clouds. It hovered momentarily, scanning the terrain, then descended toward a small clearing 200 yards up the slope. That's our exit, Michael confirmed, 200 yards through contested territory. Wolf assessed the route with practiced eyes. Exposed for the final 50 yards. They'll have clear shots if they've reached the eastern ridge. Then we give them something else to shoot at. Michael removed the USB drive from his pocket. Quantum, your specialized skills are needed. How quickly can you clone this data? The younger man accepted the drive with reverent caution. 30 seconds for basic duplication. 3 minutes for authenticated replication that would fool forensic analysis. You have 2 minutes. Make 2 copies. While Quantum worked, Michael outlined his strategy. The Ravens want 2 things. Catherine and the evidence. We create multiple targets, multiple vectors, maximum confusion. Wolf nodded slowly, understanding dawning. Decoys and diversions. Old school. Sometimes classics are classics for a reason. Quantum returned the original drive plus 2 perfect duplicates. Michael distributed them with careful consideration. Pilot takes 1, approaches from the east, making himself visible. Wolf takes another, approaches from the west, providing covering fire. I take the third with Catherine and Lily, direct approach under your coverage. And the original, Wolf asked. Michael hesitated, then handed it to Lily. The one person they might hesitate to shoot. She accepted the responsibility with solemn understanding, securing the drive in her inner pocket. Comms check, Michael ordered. Each team member confirmed their channel operation. Execute on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. They separated with practiced efficiency, the pilot moving east, at a crouching run, making deliberate noise to draw attention. Wolf headed west, using terrain for concealment, the master huntsman becoming the deliberate distraction. Michael, Quantum, and Lily prepared Catherine's gurney for its final journey. On my count, Michael instructed. 3, 2, 1, move. They emerged from cover, pushing the gurney across uneven ground with desperate speed. Quantum monitored his equipment, one-handed tracking enemy positions as they advanced. Contact east. The pilot's voice crackled through their earpieces. Engaging. Gunfire erupted from the forest edge, muzzle flashes visible in the gathering dusk. The pilot returned fire, creating the impression of a larger force with controlled, methodical shots. West perimeter secure, Wolf reported. No visual contact yet. Continuing advance. They pushed forward, 50 yards gained, then 75. The Black Hawk maintained its position in the small clearing, rotors spinning at ready capacity, door gunner, scanning for threats. Movement on your 6, Quantum warned. 2 hostiles closing fast. Michael spun, rifle raised, acquiring targets with practiced precision. 2 controlled bursts dropped the pursuing Ravens operatives before they could establish firing positions. Clear. Continue advance. 100 yards. 125. The slope grew steeper, the gurney more difficult to control. Catherine gripped the side rails, contributing what little strength she possessed to maintain her stability. You're doing great, Mom. Lily encouraged, her focus divided between medical monitoring and terrain navigation. Had worse ambulance rides in Baghdad, Catherine managed through clenched teeth. More gunfire erupted from the eastern flank. The pilot's voice came strained through comms. Taking fire. Multiple hostiles. Can't hold position. Fall back to extraction point, Michael ordered. Mission priority is package delivery. Copy that. Disengaging. The firing continued but began moving northward, the pilot executing a fighting retreat toward the Black Hawk. They reached the edge of the clearing, the final 50 yards Wolf had identified as their most vulnerable point. The Black Hawk waited door gunner, providing suppressive fire toward the eastern ridge where Raven's forces had been spotted. Wolf status, Michael demanded through comms. Silence answered him. Wolf report. The absence of response spoke volumes. Either communications had failed or Wolf was in no position to respond. Either possibility carried devastating implications. We can't wait, Michael decided. Final approach on 3, 1, 2, 3. They broke from cover, pushing the gurney across exposed ground with reckless speed. The Black Hawk door gunner increased suppressive fire, creating a protective corridor for their approach. 30 yards, 20. Movement flickered at the forest edge to their right. Contact right, Quantum shouted. Before Michael could pivot, a familiar figure emerged from the trees. Wolf, running at full tilt weapon, raised firing controlled bursts at pursuers only he could see. Go, he roared above the gunfire. Get to the chopper, I'll cover. Relief surged through Lily at the sight of her father alive and fighting. They pushed forward with renewed determination, closing the final distance to the waiting aircraft. Medical personnel deployed from the Black Hawk, assisting with Catherine's transfer into the cabin. Quantum scrambled aboard, turning to provide covering fire with a compact submachine gun that appeared from his backpack. Wolf, Lily shouted. Come on! He continued his fighting retreat, weapon cycling to empty, transitioning to his sidearm with practiced fluidity. Raven's operatives returned fire from forest cover bullets, kicking up dirt around his feet. Michael pushed Lily toward the helicopter. Go! I'll get him. She hesitated, torn between her mother's needs and her father's peril. Catherine's voice cut through her indecision. Go help Jack. I'm stable. Go. Decision made, Lily turned from the helicopter, running toward Wolf with Michael beside her. They reached him as his pistol clicked empty ammunition, exhausted. Stubborn old man, Michael grunted, supporting Wolf's weight as they turned toward extraction. Trying to be a hero. Trying to buy time. Wolf corrected, his breathing labored. Only then did Lily notice the spreading crimson stain across his abdomen. Dad. The word emerged unbidden, natural as breathing. You're hit. Flesh wound. He dismissed, though his increasingly heavy weight against their supporting arms suggested otherwise. Had worse in bar fights. They half-carried him across the clearing, Raven's fire intensifying as they recognized the high-value targets attempting escape. The door gunner maintained suppressive fire, but bullets still whined past with alarming proximity. 20 yards. 15. Wolf stumbled, nearly bringing them all down. Leave me, he gasped. Get Catherine out. Not happening, Lily and Michael responded simultaneously, redoubling their efforts. 10 yards. 5. The Black Hawk crew chief reached out, helping pull Wolf into the cabin. Lily scrambled in behind him, turning immediately to assess his wound. Michael was last aboard, shouting to the pilots as the door gunner continued engaging ground targets. Go, go, go! The Black Hawk lifted with gut-wrenching acceleration, banking sharply away from the ridgeline, seeking cloud cover and safety. Below, the Ravens continued firing uselessly at their retreating form. Their prize escaped once more. Inside the cabin, controlled chaos reigned. Medical personnel attended to Catherine, while Lily focused on Wolf's gunshot wound. Michael secured himself in a jump seat, coordinating with the pilots through a headset. Not as bad as it looks, Lily assessed, examining her father's injury with professional detachment. Through and through, missed vital organs? You're lucky. Wolf managed a pain-filled grin. Luck's got nothing to do with it. Good genes. The simple joke delivered through clenched teeth cemented something between them. Father and daughter separated by decades of secrets, united in blood and spirit. Where are we going? Lily asked Michael as she dressed Wolf's wound. Secure medical facility in Idaho. Underground bunker originally built during the Cold War. Retrofitted with state-of-the-art medical equipment. Off books. Off grid. Another facility, so, Wolf noted skeptically. Your resources seem endless, Reynolds. Not endless, but substantial. Michael removed his tactical vest, revealing a blood-soaked sleeve that he had concealed during their escape. And necessary, apparently. Lily noticed his injury with professional concern. You two ricochet, barely a scratch. He waved off her attention. Focus on the priority patients. The Black Hawk maintained its course through cloud cover, electronic countermeasures, ensuring no pursuit could track them. Below, darkness claimed the Oregon forest, concealing both friend and foe in equal measure. Catherine reached from her gurney hand, seeking Wolf's. He stretched across the space between them, their fingers intertwining with practiced familiarity. "We made it," she whispered. "Again. We always do, Silver Cat." The tenderness in his rugged voice transformed his fearsome countenance. "We always do." Lily monitored both parents, the medical professional in her assessing vitals and stability, while the daughter, newly discovered, marveled at their reunion. These two battle-scarred warriors had created her, their combined strength and resilience flowing through her veins. Michael observed the family tableau with complex emotions evident in his eyes. "The Ravens won't stop. You know that, right? Not while Catherine and Lily carry the genetic markers they need for Project Lazarus." Wolf's expression hardened. "Then we eliminate the Ravens. Permanently." Easier said than done. They've infiltrated legitimate businesses, medical research facilities, even government regulatory agencies. They're not just a motorcycle gang anymore. "Neither are we," Wolf countered. "The Iron Wolves have evolved too. Quantum's tech skills, our international chapters, our financial resources." He studied Michael with newfound calculation. "And now we have you with whatever redemption mission you have set for yourself." Michael neither confirmed nor denied the implied alliance. "First priority is medical stabilization for Catherine and you, then secure the evidence for presentation to federal authorities." "And if federal authorities are compromised," Wolf challenged, "then we find the ones who aren't. They exist. I've been cultivating contacts for 2 years preparing for this moment." Catherine stirred on her gurney. "Project Lazarus, I know more than they think. The genetic markers, the cellular regeneration properties. It's not what they believe." All eyes turned to her. She continued, voice strengthening as she shared secrets long held. "They think it's the key to extended human lifespan, radical longevity, eternal youth for the highest bidders." She shook her head. "But the research was abandoned for a reason. The regeneration comes with cellular instability, accelerated mutation, cancer." Understanding dawned in Lily's eyes. "Your cancer. It's connected to your genetics." "Yes, the very thing that helps me fight it is what caused it." Perfect cosmic irony. Catherine's laugh held no humor. "The government program identified the potential when I was a child, studied me, used my genetic material for research, then terminated the program when the side effects became evident." "But the Ravens continued," Michael surmised, "without ethical constraints or governmental oversight. Using my father's medical facilities," Lily added, the pieces assembling in her mind. "The sub-levels the fake Sorokin mentioned." Michael nodded grimly. "Research laboratories beneath the main Reynolds facility, supposedly dedicated to cancer research, but actually continuing the abandoned government program." "And now they want me too," Lily whispered, "because I inherited the markers." "But improved," Catherine added. "Second generation. The markers without the instability. They've been monitoring medical databases for decades, looking for candidates with your genetic profile." The helicopter banked, beginning its descent toward a mountainous region of northern Idaho. Below, darkness was broken only by a small cluster of lights that marked their destination. "What happens now?" Lily asked, looking between Wolf and Michael, the two men who had become her unlikely protectors. "Now we get your mother the treatment she needs," Wolf answered. "We recover, regroup, then take the fight to the Ravens." "With the evidence on the USB drive," Michael added. Lily felt the weight of the original drive in her pocket, the repository of secrets that had cost so many lives, destroyed so many futures. "And after, when the Ravens are exposed, when justice is served, what then?" Wolf and Catherine exchanged glances, a lifetime of communication passing between them in a single look. "Then we become what we should have been 23 years ago," Wolf said simply. "A family." The Blackhawk touched down on a concealed landing pad, the facility entrance, illuminated by soft lighting that minimized visibility from above. Medical personnel approached with gurneys as the rotor slowed. Catherine was transferred first, her condition still the most critical. Wolf followed, grudgingly accepting assistance for his injury. Lily moved between them, the daughter of warriors, assuming her place in the family formation. Michael hung back, watching the reunion with complicated emotions playing across his features. Lily noticed his hesitation and turned back. "You're coming too," she said, not a question, but a statement. "You're part of this now." He nodded slowly in recognition of something fundamental passing between them. "I made a promise to myself when I discovered my father's crimes, that I would use the Reynolds resources to heal rather than harm, to build rather than destroy." "Redemption through action," Lily observed. "Fitting." As they entered the secure facility together, an unlikely alliance formed of necessity and circumstance, Lily felt the weight of the USB drive against her heart. Evidence of past crimes, blueprint for future justice, the key to understanding her own unusual heritage. Whatever came next, whatever battles awaited them against the Ravens and their Project Lazarus, one truth had emerged from the chaos of the past 48 hours. She was the daughter of Wolf and Catherine Carriers, of extraordinary genetics and extraordinary courage. Their legacy lived in her blood, their strength in her spirit. The doors sealed behind them and closing them in safety for the moment. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new revelations, new dangers. But tonight, three people who had been separated by secrets and survival had found their way back to each other. Family forged in fire, bound by blood engraved on the soul.